Have you heard? Metro by T-Mobile now includes Amazon Prime. Yes, enjoy the best of shopping and entertainment, movies, TV shows, music, free shipping, and much more. All included for just $40 per line for 3 lines. All on the T-Mobile network. Discover the smarter way. Metro by T-Mobile. That's genius. One offer per account. Offer subject to change. $12.99 per month value. Offer valid for new Amazon Prime members. Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus some T-Mobile customers. Video at 480p. Capable device required. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Aquarian Radio at aquarianradio.com. And I am your host, Janet Carolesson, with my incredible co-hosts, Karen Christine Patrick and John Polk. And today we are going to interview our very special guest, Belinda Womack. And today is an episode of Experiencers Network on the Aquarian Radio Network. We're going to start with Reverend John Polk. John, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Could you please
Belinda,
read Belinda's bio? Yes, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Belinda Womack, intuitive problem solver, counselor, inventor, spiritual messenger, teacher, dream interpreter, healing facilitator, author, and human being. It is her experience that calling on angels brings about profound insight. They can illuminate how the obstacles or heartache we are experiencing today is connected to situations in our pasts, childhood, or other lives. We all have the power to change the past and receive the miracles available to us in the present. We are never alone, always supported and protected. It is truly never too late to create a happy childhood and manifest our potential or something even greater. And that's Belinda's bio.
Before we bring on Belinda, Karen Christine Patrick, are you there?
I'm here, really. Oh, come on down. Yeah, no, I like two of the things on her list. I like the problem solver. That's awesome. We need lots of those. And human being, because that's a important thing. One of my highest compliments of anyone is that they're a decent human being, because we need more of those now more than ever. So real excited about our guest today.
We're very excited to have you. Belinda, welcome to our show.
It's great to be
there,
here.
Belinda?
Thank you for having. I am here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here today. That was a short bio. I know you have a longer bio. What would you like to tell our listeners about yourself? And give us a little bit about your background and how you came to write your book and what the name of the book is.
So I am the author of a wonderful channeled book that came directly from the 12 Archangels, and I'm happy to tell you more about them. But the title of the book is Lessons from the 12 Archangels, Divine Intervention in Daily Life. And I have been working with angels for a bit over 25 years now. I was a biologist. I have 2 master's degrees in science, one in microbiology and one in environmental science. But I had a visitation many years ago while working in the lab from the Archangel Gabriel that put me into a brand new vocation that I definitely wasn't expecting. So that's the short version.
Wow, we will go into that. The lab visitation from Archangel Gabriel. I actually had a visitation from the Archangel Michael, or Michael, when I was diagnosed with terminal lung disease, and then he came to me and then I decided to live after that, so we worked on that. So I'm very interested in this information. What I suggest we do tonight is we'll go round table with questions for Belinda, And, Belinda, you're kind of like on the hot seat or the warm seat where we're going to just be talking to you and about your work and about what you've discovered. And I will start with the first question. My question, what do you think, what are angels? What's the difference between an angel and an archangel? Where do they come from? What can you tell us about it? Because that's been discussed for centuries. Who and what are angels, and where do they come from?
So, Janet, I'm more than happy to answer these questions. I just wanted to mention that that I got a text from someone who's trying to listen to the show that cannot get on your website. Is there another way that listeners can tune in?
Call 646-649-0893. And as soon as I get to a point, while you're talking to the other two, I'm going to go on Green Geeks and the tech support and see if I can get that released even while the show's going on. Sometimes I can do that. So my apologies to anybody who's trying to listen. The call-in number is 646-649-0893. And I don't know if either of you two, Karen or John, have the internet. If you can go grab the link for the show, you can go post the call-in number by the link and put it on Facebook a couple places and Twitter it if that will work for you. I don't know if you can do two things at once, but I always do two or three things at once. But I'm going to work on the tech support. Okay, 646-649-0893. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And we are having problems, and my apology, but I will talk to Green Geeks. Back to you, Belinda.
So as we know, these things happen. They do. So I believe your question was, what is the difference between angels and archangels? Is that where you would like me to jump in?
Basically, what are angels? Are they extraterrestrial, interdimensional? Do they have physical form? Are they spiritual beings? What are angels? Because there's a whole bit of, controversy on that. People are thinking that angels are this, that, and the other thing. And then once we get into what are angels, what's the difference between a regular angel and an archangel? That's the other thing.
Okay.
Once we get into what are angels, what's the difference between a regular angel and an archangel? I'm getting a whole back of feedback. All
hey,
right,
not to interrupt you, but if they go to Blog Talk Radio /Aquarian Radio, they can click on it right there and listen to the show live. So I just checked that.
They can do that as well. Thank you, John. Belinda, your turn.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you so much, John. So what are angels? Angels are made of the same substance that human beings are made out of. We are made of God's energy. What is God's energy? It is the divine love. And divine love is what the entire universe is made out of when it is in its purest, highest vibrating form. So angels are benevolent beings that exist everywhere throughout the universe. And they are in our lives here on Earth to help us to evolve and help us to receive, because we human beings can make it very difficult on ourselves because we have the ability to believe in fear. And what fear does is it lowers our vibration, and it makes us believe that we are separate from angels and separate from our Creator, separate from God, and definitely separate from each other. So the angels help us to lift that vibration and to bring love where love has been missing. So angels are made out of love. Do they have a physical form? Well, here on the earth, they take many different forms. Sometimes they will incarnate as human beings, but often we can find them in nature, in the beautiful trees, and we can find them in the whales. They're just, angels are everywhere. So what is most important to understand about them is that they want to help us. So we may experience angels as fairies. We may experience angels as loving guardian angels that connect with us and help us. So what's the difference between an angel and a human being? Well, it comes down to sometimes just pure intention. Angels, they live at the vibration of pure unconditional love. So when a human being can hold that and walk that, we can be very angelic, which I think that you probably have all experienced. So what's the difference between a regular angel and an archangel? Well, according to the angels, they don't really believe in hierarchy. They say that this is something that human beings like to create. We like to have the CEO and the COO, and then we have the manager, and then we have the employee. Well, angels all work together. And just the thing about, well, what's an archangel? Well, what they say is that the arc is a word for a bridge, and they help human beings to connect their heads and their hearts and their souls to their egos, and their consciousness to their bigger self. And so that's what they do, is they help us to build a bridge from within us where we experience fear to the vibration of where they are, which is just pure love. So whether we connect with Archangel Michael or Archangel Gabriel or an awesome, amazing oak tree or our beautiful Labrador Retriever, we can connect to that unconditional, profound healing love that not only can it lift us up, it can help us to wake up to our potential and our power. We are co-creators with the divine. We do have the power to not only change our lives, but make this world better for all concerned. So did I answer that question?
Good job. Excellent job. John, we're going to have you go next. We're kind of go boy, girl, boy. Girl, boy, girl, I guess.
Okay.
Hey,
Belinda. Belinda. This is Reverend John Polk. How are you?
I am great, John.
I did an other radio show earlier today, but had about an hour and a half to go over your website. And the first thing that attracted my attention was being able to listen to the 12 Archangel Vibrational Super Shift video, and it's free, folks. Just so you know, you can get a sample of her whole theory and go through a guided meditation. It's very trippy and ethereal and magical, and close your eyes and just allow yourself to go on a trip. It was really good. Anyway, how would you best describe the 12 Archangel Vibrational Super Shift?
So the 12 archangels, again, are loving forces, and their number is what they say is the most important, John, because the number 12 is symbolic of moving through a cycle. Like we have 12 signs of the zodiac, we have 12 months of the year. So they want to help us to evolve, to move from one vibration where we're in fear. What does that mean? Well, that's when we have anxiety and worry and just, feel unsafe in our lives, and where we can easily, kind of just project ourselves into the future and get ourselves ungrounded with all those, well, what if this happens and what if that happens? So this group of angels, they are assigned, their vision and their mission is to help humanity to remember their true identity as God's divine children, each and every one of us. And as we remember our divinity, the whole goal is that we'll treat ourselves better. We will respect ourselves as children of the divine, and we'll begin to respect one another with greater kindness, and of course respect our planet. So their vibrational super shift, which is the guided meditation that I give as a gift on my website, which is belindawomack.com, so thank you so much for visiting, it's their message to us. They guide us through a simple, again, imagery, whether you see it or not, their words are going to lift us up so that we feel the love and we feel the power, and we experience what it's like to be in more of the vibration of heaven, where there is no fear, versus what we've got going on here on the earth. And when we go through that vibrational super shift, it helps us to receive. So if you go, well, so what's the point of shifting our vibration? Well, we are here to experience heaven on earth. We are here to receive our Creator's abundance, and that means loving relationships, that means good health, that means prosperity, and more than anything, that means feeling safe in these wild and crazy times. Feeling safe, feeling on purpose, knowing why we are here. And so the more we listen to that vibrational super shift, it helps us to begin to hold it for ourselves and to hold it throughout the day. Bottom line is, it's all about love, and love is what shifts our vibration.
Wow, that was very poetic.
Karen, your turn. Oh, yeah, thank you, John. Go ahead, feedback. Any other feedback for Belinda? Or question?
Well, she uses a metaphor to look at yourself as a vessel that is full of sludge and negativity. And then imagine receiving from Source something to the effect of clear water that brings about manifestation, and that we create our own reality from the inside out. Do you want to finish that for me, Belinda?
Well, I can explain it to you.
Okay.
John, everything that's in my book and the meditation, it's channeled. So if you ask me to tell you, it's going to come through me in a little bit of a different way. But the point is that the angels ask that we need to let go of that sludge, and the sludge is our negative beliefs. It's our subconscious. That's where we human beings really, really like to hold on to things. And so when we want to create a new life for ourselves, sometimes we like to do that consciously, right? We make our plans and we go, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym 15 times this week, and therefore I should have these results. Well, if our subconscious, which drives 90% of our behavior, if not more, is in there telling us, well, we're not worthy, and we're not allowed to take care of ourselves. I can't tell you how many, especially healers I'm blessed to work with, that they have a pretty big belief system in there that says that they're not allowed to take care of themselves. They're not supposed to focus on themselves. So when we work with the angels and we work with their tools, then we learn how to move those very, very old and limiting beliefs out of our vessel, which then allows that clear water of spirit far more room to flow in and to help us with that manifestation, because we are co-creators with the divine, and we really do co-create our reality from the inside out. But what's important is, well, what are we using to create our reality? Well, if we're using that subconscious hurt and pain and fear, then that's what we're going to experience, and that's what we're seeing happen all over our planet. According to the 12 archangels, what humanity is seeing is their past and their beliefs that really are rooted in the past, and that we can all work together to transform these beliefs so we can live here now and then create together a much more harmonious and better future. So everything that the 12 archangels teach us and guide us through is all focused on a gentle cleansing of those lower vibration beliefs and hurts and pains, whether they are from our childhood, often that's where they come in, or whether they come in from our ancestral beliefs. We can inherit beliefs from our parents. We can bring them in from past lives. But they don't have to be with us permanently. We really can lift them up, transform them so that we become open vessels, and open to receiving love. And then, of course, our Creator, together with our own hearts, will manifest far more happier, joyful days through us. And this is where it comes in handy that I was a biologist, because I like to have proof. So that's what they deliver. And even from listening to the free meditation, I had a wonderful client who was going through a crisis, and that's what she did. She listened to that meditation, and everything calmed down. Everything was okay, and it all shifted, and so it was a brand new day. And that's how it works. That's what happens when we work with the greatest power that there is, and that greatest power is the power of love. So did I answer that question?
Absolutely. That was brilliant.
Okay. So what's the next question? I'm ready. This is fun.
Karen.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
I was on mute. I was trying to say Karen. I was on mute. Go ahead, Karen. Your turn.
I'm hearing my name. I was listening to your bio. Another thing that popped out that I thought was kind of interesting about you was it said you were an inventor. So that's an unusual thing that especially a woman would list in her bona fides. I'm just curious how that came about. And I think it's kind of cool because you sound like a person who's really plugged into creativity and creative flow, and that's really where all invention comes from, right? From creators, the creator who created creators to create, right?
Yes. Yes. Karen.
Yeah. Could you say more about that? Yeah.
Sure. Well, let's see. It's about 3 or 4 years ago. I was involved in a project which the project was dropped, but we did create some awesome patents that were moving along, and then those were stopped too. However, I'm still an inventor, right? I still was a part of the team and still loved being a creator. And what I did, which was really amazing, to me, it was an amazing experience, is that I developed images that would communicate for the subconscious. So the subconscious, as I said, it drives our behavior, it drives our decision making. And so I worked with an artist to create images that would map to how the human being makes decisions and some kind of basic parameters on what drives those decisions. And then my work was tested by psychologists, and it proved to work. So I'm currently not involved, and that was for a technology platform, by the way. So I'm currently not actively inventing. However, I use the same science of that when I created, together with the 12 Archangels, the 12 Archangels University, which is my online 15-month quite extensive and intensive transformational process. And in that, the students get to work with the images of the universal weight tarot cards, but they use them in a very different way. And they use these images with guided exercises from the angels, very simple exercises, to open the creative, spiritual, emotional hemisphere of the brain, so that as that part of the brain gets activated, we want to do that so that we can really receive from spirit in a clear and truthful way, so that there's not what I call shabungi or contamination coming through. So these images are very clear, and it's they create a wonderful way to reach the subconscious for healing and transformation, as well as to open up to communicating with angels and loved ones in heaven. So that's the purpose of the 12 Archangels University, and that science was actually, it's a spin-off of what I was asked to do for this technology platform. So that's why, as far as I'm concerned, I'm always going to be an inventor, because I love to create solutions.
Oh, that's great. I have a technology background, so I tend to look at life and the human mind and spirit as kind of in that you see those kind of glasses, as far as like how our belief systems are, it's kind of like our operating system. I think Terence McKenna said that quite clearly, and it's great because, when I was growing up in my family of origin and belief system of origin, the beliefs that the people would talk about in the religion were very unchangeable. Like we weren't discussing it. They were communicating and telling me and making sure I understood that these beliefs were chiseled in stone, almost like literally. They're talking about the Ten Commandments kind of thing. And so what I kind of came to the conclusion of later in my life is that our beliefs can and should change as we grow and understand and learn more things, and that sometimes people might assert they believe something, but they really don't, and that's a whole interesting problem right there. But it's like just like updating your operating system. You update your operating system based on your experiences, and become more open. I love that you're working with the creative side of the brain, because of how, that's something I kind of have done in my own work, because I tend to do the technology work, and then I'd blow a fuse. I'd have to go do something super creative, like crafts or art or something, and to this day I still do that. I'll do creative writing or art or something, because we do have a society kind of rooted in the left brain, trying to be logical about everything quite a bit, and a little bit discouraging of creativity. In fact, I'm getting ready to start a community adult coloring group, which is that new science to believe that we should go back to coloring and basic stuff like that, and meditating on patterns and mandalas and that sort of thing. And the reason why I'm doing that is my mother's doing that, which, if you know my mother, she's an art appreciator, but never really did a lot of artistic kind of stuff, and she's having a ball doing this artistic coloring thing. And this is so important to who we are. Our minds are not just logic and reason. We do have a spiritual side and a creative side, and that's our greatest tool. I hate it when somebody says, that's just your imagination, like they limit the imagination, which is our greatest thing since thumbs, opposable thumbs, and the next best thing is our imagination, So I just, that's really an awesome program, and I'll check that out for sure.
Well, and I totally understand what you're talking about, and I think it's awesome that you and your mom are coloring, because one of the things that the 12 Archangels work with us, the way that they help us, is they give us images, but they work with colors. And they work with the colors of the chakras. And they say that, as we all know, that our chakras, which are batteries of spiritual energy, these batteries of energy, they exist within us to help us to transform and to heal. So just like, the colors of the rainbow, these colors of the chakras, when we work with these colors, when we visualize them and play with them and color with them, well, we shift, we change, and we can reach those most fixed, especially those most fixed religious dogma beliefs that we may have inherited or been indoctrinated with as children, those beliefs that now are limiting for us. Maybe they worked even in a past life for us, but now they are creating separation between us and God. They're no longer helping us to understand God. They're now in the way. And so, for example, we can work with the energy in the crown chakra, which is a beautiful color violet. And so the angels say we can call it purple, we can call it violet, but it is that energy of forgiveness and transformation. So by simply imagining, which is very real, and we can experience this. Again, you can be like a scientist and test it. You imagine that you've got a purple hat on your head, and immediately, if you have, I call it hamster in a wheel thoughts, or like having little mice in your head running around with all those worry and anxiety thoughts, it just gets canceled. Put a purple hat on your head and take a deep breath, and all of a sudden, that crown chakra energy is creating calm in the brain, especially that what we like to call that left hemisphere. And these are just cliche terms, as we know, left and right, but that logical, rational, got to be in control, got to know what the future is parts of our brain. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is, if I'm blessed to work with children, whether they're little or middle school or elementary or high school or even in college, and let's say that they've got an exam coming up, and they don't have time to pull out their coloring book, which would probably really help them, Karen. So but if they'll put on that purple hat and take some deep breaths, they will not flunk the exam. Whether they've studied or not, they will not flunk the exam, because that purple hat, that opens up that creative hemisphere and helps that student to connect with the all-knowing source, right? To connect with their guides and their angels in heaven who have read all the textbooks and who don't have that anxiety and can help them. So I just want to come back to this whole wonderful science of working with imagery and working with color to facilitate healing, because there is nothing like it. The brain, once it starts to engage with color, it just says, hey, I really love to do this, transformation. Einstein told us that we use maybe 10% of our brain. Well, that's because that other 90% is, it loves color, right? It loves images, and it loves to be creative, and it loves to visualize and imagine. And when we're at the right vibration, we actually cannot make imagery up. So if we're seeing something wonderful, like an angel or a fairy or just a loved one in heaven, we can't make these things up. The brain doesn't do that. It can conjure up negative things, but when it's really at that vibration of heaven, then heaven is speaking to us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's what I want.
I just got to say, I got to get a purple hat now.
Yeah, we have to get our purple hats. Well, there was a series of artwork back in the 80s or 90s. When I am old, I shall wear purple, right? It was about women's empowerment. Women will wear purple when we are seniors, so we don't need to wait till we're seniors. There is some power in the color purple. I just want to make a comment on, my husband always says to our clients when they they dismiss things because they say, "Oh, I'm just making it up," or someone else is accusing me of just imagining it. And he always says, "Well, you're imaging, and where are you imaging it from? It's coming from somewhere, because nothing has been created or destroyed, only changed in form. So you're actually just, receiving it. You're a receiver, and so you're imaging it, and you're pulling it into this reality, this dimension." So I just wanted to add that. I wanted to ask you, Belinda, and if somebody else covered it, I'm sorry, I kind of got a little bit distracted with the live chat. I'm trying to get the website back up for our people. But you mentioned that you met the first one in the lab when the angel appeared to you. Can you tell us how your communication started with them? You said it was Gabriel. You're in your scientific mode, and all of a sudden there's this angel in your lab or something. And how did you reconcile that in your mind? Did you think you were going crazy? Did you think maybe you got there's what was his name, Aldo Kaufman, who got acid on his hands and he was hallucinating, right? Did you think you were having some kind of transcendental experience? Or tell me a little bit more about your thoughts, and then how the next one, how you started getting more communication. Take it away, Belinda.
So my experience was that I was working on a human bone marrow sample in the lab, and I was really focused on what I was doing. And the next thing that happened is it was like I was taken out of the lab. So I call it my out of laboratory experience. And I was in a stone. I was in a stone room. It was a very big stone room, and there was a golden. There wasn't a ceiling. It was an ancient room. The floor was dirt, and there was a huge white golden energy flowing into this round room, and an angel appeared in that energy. And I recognized the angel because the angel had a trumpet. And I was like, okay, Gabriel's the one that has a trumpet. And to make sure that I knew it was an angel, it was full, wings and golden robes and just beautiful. It was unbelievably beautiful. And Gabriel sent a message to me telepathically and said, we're calling you. You have new work to do, and we would like you to help human beings to remember their divinity, to remember that they are God's divine children. And I remember thinking or communicating back to Gabriel, I think you've called the wrong person. I'm a biologist. I've spent quite a while in school. I think this is my profession, and I don't think I have the credentials for what you want. And Gabriel said, well, we haven't called the wrong person. That's not exactly the words that Gabriel used at that moment, but somehow I got that message that I wasn't going to get out of this. And so the angel said, what we need you to understand is in the book to your left. So I turned to my left, and there was an enormous book on a huge, it was huge, stone table. And the book was probably 3 feet wide and maybe a foot deep, and it opened up. And when it opened up, in red fire letters, very, very red, scarlet red, was the word love. And I'll never forget it because I said, okay, love. I can learn about love. I can learn how to love. And the next thing that I remember was that Gabriel said, we will be back in touch. And I was like, there's more than one. And so then I was back in the lab, still holding my sample. I was shaking all over. I looked at my watch. I thought I'd been gone for hours. I thought for sure I'd been gone for hours, wherever it was that I had gone to. And not 1 minute had passed. And, but this energy was just was, felt like it was beyond just me being afraid from what happened. I really was just shaking all over, and I said, I have no idea what just happened to me. And I really did think, have I lost it? What, have I been working too many hours? Is this, because when you work in the lab, you can get caught up and spending a lot of time there. It's kind of part of the culture. And, but I just then started to calm down. And all of a sudden then this calm just came in, and I had this feeling, I don't understand what's going on, but somehow I know everything's going to be okay. So that was, when I first met Gabriel, and I was then given the message that I would be leaving my work as a scientist, and I was going to work with the 12 archangels. And I didn't have any idea what that meant either, and it took me a while to figure that out. I finally surrendered and said, what does it mean to work with you, angels? What does that mean? Because you're in heaven and you don't have to worry about cash flow, but I've got a mortgage to pay, and somehow I'm missing what it means to work for you. And so they came through. They told me, they gave me very clear instructions. They said, you're going to write this material, which I did. I channeled some material, and they said, you're going to teach a class, and I taught a class, and then I started to have people ask me for individual sessions. So it was all very much, one surprise after another. And what I just share with people is, when you get called into a life of doing spiritual work, ask for help. You're not, if you're called to help humanity, then you're not alone. You've got a tremendous amount of supporters in heaven helping you, and there's also going to be a lot of people here on the earth plane to help make this a possibility. Otherwise, you wouldn't be given this assignment. So that is how it all began.
Okay. Thank you. That's wonderful. That's amazing, actually. Oh, to John, you were next.
Okay. So I went on Belinda's website, and the first thing that captured my attention was the 14-minute guided meditation. And folks, it's free. You owe it to yourself to sit down, get in a very relaxed state, and just listen. And the music in particular set the mood, set the social milieu in the atmosphere for her guiding words. And I'm positive you'll agree, Belinda, that the music really does set the tone for the message that you're trying to convey. And she friended an artist who's brilliant, very lyrical, very deep and etherical in his music. It speaks to you, and it's all instrumental, or at least what I heard. There's no spoken words in the music, and doesn't need to be any spoken words because the music is so poetic, it speaks to you. And his name is Robert Davidson, and I just thought that was an excellent choice for the music to set the mood for the guided meditation. And then I went into your website a little further, and you can actually purchase some of these tracks from, I'm assuming, from iTunes. There we go. And it looks like that it was released in November of last year, so this was a recent release also. And I love the titles of these cuts: Light and Sound, Ignite Your Soul, Heart's Dance, Rebirth, Divine Love, Coral Flame, Turquoise, Ruby, Deepest Healing, Home Again, Soul Healing, and Angel Wings. I thought that those were brilliant titles for really a masterful composer. So what else can you tell us about Robert Davidson and his music?
Well, Robert Davidson's music, he began channeling these angels, these same exact
Really?
12 archangels, yes,
Cool.
quite a number of years ago. And Robert is my best friend. He and his wife live in New York, and they are amazing people. And he is quite an accomplished musician. He has many gifts. He's just a genius. And what I respect so much about Robert's music is that he really understood, he really connected with these 12 archangels and was really able to communicate their language, because angels communicate in music. They really do. And he was able to really bring that through in such an absolute clean and clear way, so that we can really feel that healing energy through his music. So I can't say enough about his music. And John, I so appreciate that that you brought this up, because very often I don't get the opportunity to really talk about Robert's music, and it is it's just such a blessing. It is a real blessing. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, I'm a professional DJ, singer, and entertainer in the attractions areas out here by Orlando, Florida, and so music is an integral part of my life. It's a huge part of my life, and when I want to meditate, I put on some songs, some of my favorite songs. I'll go on YouTube or Pandora and just play something, and I'm listening, but I'm not necessarily listening. You know how that goes.
Yes.
The music kind of takes you to another place, to another realm, another dimension. And, and before you know it, you're still into the music, but you're not consciously listening to it anymore. You're on this mindscape, or you're traveling somewhere, because the music became a vehicle to enable you to travel to somewhere that you've been before, or somewhere you've never been before. So, music means so much to me, and it's just a huge part of my life. And of course, there's 12 tracks on that are available, but it looks like if you buy all 12, it looks like you get a discount of $2. So they're 99 cents a piece, but it looks like if you get all 12, it's $9.99 for all 12 of them. Anyway, it's just, I just like the musical piece that was put behind your 14-minute guided meditation on your website. I thought it was worth mentioning, and music is a huge part of my life, so I had to bring it up.
Well, thank you so much. And also on the video, that's the book trailer on my website. Robert did the whole video, and his music. That track is called Rainbow Soul. Is the music on the book trailer video. So everything that I do where I can bring in his music, that is what the angels ask for, and clearly it's my delight to do that.
So how did you meet him? I mean, if you're both guided by the same 12 archangels, you figure it was divine that you were going to meet this gentleman and his wife at some point in your life. How long ago did you meet him, and where or how did you meet him?
I actually met Robert, it's at least 20 years ago, and he had a different wife at that time. And
okay.
And he was introduced to me through a mutual friend, and he did a private session with me, and over the phone. And then I traveled. I was living in North Carolina at the time, and I traveled to New York where he lived, and I met him in person, and it was like we have known each other for forever. And I have no doubt about that. So our friendship definitely goes way back, and many lives. So he's quite a human being, and I'm blessed to know him for sure.
Well, and it perfectly complements your guided meditation. I mean, it seems like they were a match made in heaven. They were supposed to go together.
Yes.
Each one is powerful on its own, but you put it together and it becomes exponentially more powerful, and I would even assert more effective as far as being guided.
Totally.
That's what I got out of it. Absolutely. So anyway, I enjoyed the music, and it was destined for you two to meet each other, of course.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I just want to jump in here and say that I appreciate your questions, John and Janet and Karen. I'm sure that you all come from very interesting backgrounds too, and so I'm grateful we can spend this time together, and that you're on this wild journey with me. I just want to acknowledge that too.
Well, we like asking you questions. You can always ask us questions too. I just want to add a little bit. I interviewed Stephen Halpern, who is the father of New Age music, and he discovered how important these frequencies are that are in the music and where it will take you. He just won a Grammy, I think, 2 years ago. So you have to be careful what sounds and words and vibrations you're ingesting, just like food, because they affect you, and people don't realize that. I've become very hypersensitive to music or whatever is out there, and I can't take some of the current music. It makes me. It's like chalk on a board, right? It's like, run away.
Yeah.
The vibe is just not my vibe, and sometimes even when the kids come by in a truck or something and they're playing it so deep, and they're beside me or in front of me or back of me, it feels like I'm going to have a heart attack. It's like I can't wait to get away from them. It literally hurts my body. It's very strange. Anyway, I just want to add that. I think it's Karen's turn to ask a question. Karen?
Yeah, I'm here. I've been thinking about a couple of things. Hello. Yeah, a couple things. Purple hat, the color purple, musicians. I got to thinking about Prince, who passed away this week. It's amazing the level of surprise and grief that people have for their musicians. And we had David Bowie pass, and then Prince pass, and how that just touches people, because music reaches us, right in our homes, right in our car, right in our life, and you feel like you know these people. It's amazing how our musicians are very beloved and missed when they're gone. And I guess I got to thinking about, the times that we can become aware of divine beings or angels are those times of stress, those times of transition, because I think they do want us to know that they are there. I have a daughter who had a near-death experience when she was 9 during a surgery. She had an allergic reaction to medication, and she stopped breathing and everything, and they had to resuscitate her and everything. And then right after she got out of recovery, she told me what happened, and then she had sort of a stroke type of event. But she told me that she was with an angel, and the angel, she went to, what she thought was heaven, and she was literally asked, which I thought was amazing, she was asked whether she wanted to come back or not to Earth, and she didn't feel like she was done with whatever it was that she planned to do in life. But there's just been these many times where in her life, my life, other people's lives, where you just totally been aware that there was an intervention, that there was somebody there helping you. 2 times in a row, I was about to turn left on the road, and something stopped me from turning left at a left turning thing, and both times 2 cars came running the red light. And of course, they always speed up when they run the red light, and swished past me. And had I been in the intersection right when the thing turned green, I wouldn't be talking to you guys today. So I just felt like an arm was thrown in front of me, and something said stop, and it gives me chills thinking about it right now. So, yeah, it's just, what about those times? Because I think when I think of my close calls and I'm, feeling discouraged in my life right now, I go, okay, whatever was helping me right then, that's what I'm going to trust through whatever it is I'm dealing with right now. And that comforts me. I think it helps us to know that because the world is kind of scary at times, and we don't have a lot of visible things right in front of us assuring us all the time. It'd be nice if that would happen. A scroll would fall from heaven and say, you're going to be okay. It doesn't work that way. I just wondered if you could make a comment about those kinds of experiences.
Well, Karen, we do have many guardian angels. We have as many angels as we need. Angels, like music, they increase in volume when we are in times of stress and when we are in times of crisis, when we are going through crisis. So just like we turn up the volume of music we love, when we need more angels or more angelic help, they surround us and they help us and they protect us. So sometimes I'm asked the question, well, do angels step in and protect us if we don't ask for their help? Most definitely they do. Everything that we experience is in divine order. Our higher self is helping us to orchestrate our experiences here at the schoolroom earth, as the angels refer to it. We are here to learn how to work with the healing power of love, how to work with this energy to transform the fear so that we have better experiences. So when we need the help of our helpers in heaven, they are really with us all the time. Heaven is just a vibration away. And in my work, I communicate with loved ones that they're called the dead, but there's nothing dead about them. They leave their earthly body and they return. Their soul takes them to heaven. They have a new body waiting for them or created for them, and they are with us. They can help us. And that's what I keep wanting to repeat, that the angels want us to know, wow, do we have help? So even if we don't believe necessarily in angels, if we can just open our lives, open our minds to being able to receive help. And this can be a big deal for human beings. But just to hold in our minds, you know what? If there are such things as angels, and if my loved ones can help me, then help me. It's such a powerful, there's some really incredibly simple things we can say. One of those is, I surrender. One of those is, help me. And one of those is, thank you. And we don't have to say all three of those at one time, but to say, help me, those angels come in, those guides that are devoted to helping us to find our way through this school so that we learn who we are and we learn that, oh my goodness, I do have power. I can make a difference. Maybe we're not all as angelic and as super powerful as Prince with what he did with his musical genius, but we all are totally capable, even if we're not celebrities, of making a very, very powerful difference in not only our own lives, but in the lives of everyone around us, because we are all one. And when one is helped, all are helped. So what we can do when we are going through times of crisis is that's the time to say, I surrender. What are we doing? We are gently moving the fearful, fear-stuck ego back into a place of love so that our higher self can come in and hear the words, help me, or thank you for helping me. And then when we say thank you, thank you for the help, thank you for the miracle, even if the miracle hasn't happened yet, we lift our vibrations because that's what gratitude does. And there's nothing like surrendering, asking for help, and then saying thank you for that help, even before it's here. That will definitely redirect the vehicle of how we're going through life, how we are making our choices, and redirect us to a smoother course and down a happier road. So I hope I've made sense with that. If I haven't, please ask me to clarify.
Oh, no, that made a lot of sense. I like the part what you said about gratitude, because how that's like a vibration that's so important for connecting with the other side. Because it's even if like you're trying to resolve a negative situation, sometimes you can resolve negative situations and family things with people who've passed on. And the idea is to just have some gratitude for the experience, even positive or negative or however you interpret it. It can change the energy if you don't even say anything to anybody. Just have some gratitude for whatever, anybody you can't. There's a lot of situations where we can't really, or we haven't found the time or the moment or situation yet to converse with somebody and resolve something. Having the gratitude of who they are I've found to be really helpful to begin to heal those things. So that's always an important thing. By itself is, and like I said, thank you ahead of time, because you already know you're going to be helped, or you feel you're going to be helped. Connects you to the hope. You'll uplift yourself just by that feeling, because you'll think more hopefully, like, oh yes, in the past I had this or that happen. Think of positive things that have happened in spite of negative things that happened. Like I went through that with my daughter. She was resuscitated after she was fired. She was resuscitated. Then she had a stroke and had to recover for a year. But I mean, she had to still go through a process. We all had to go through that process. But so I look at it as she's still with us, and even though the bad things happen and she had to go through all that, we still have her, and it was a very profound experience for our family, for sure. So thank you.
Well, it sounds like it was an incredibly profound experience for your family, and with as scary as the story was, I love that you used the story to inspire others to continue to stay in the love and to stay in the faith and to stay in the gratitude, and to really hear that miracles happen, and healing and healing is comes in many different forms. In the case of your daughter, she clearly needs to be on this earth, and she is a very, very special soul. I don't have to tell you that. She definitely has some work ahead for her that is going to help others beyond the story that she's already experienced. But sometimes, like in the case of Prince or in the case of David Bowie that you mentioned, that has been mentioned on our conversation, sometimes healing is death. It means that it's time for us to leave this earth plane and this school and to return to heaven. And life continues there, and we continue to help, and we continue to connect with our loved ones. So what the angels teach us is, be here now and focus on love and focus on creating a new reality by changing your own thoughts and beliefs, which we do just by transforming that fear in the color purple. That violet fire really helps us to do that. But we can make a difference while we're here that will really help all of humanity, because the long-term focus is this is a school. At some, we don't know what that time point is, but at some time or moment, we will no longer need to exit out of here through a biological death, we will just be able to transform, which is what it is. But we human beings, we need to experience all of these experiences. Our Creator is experiencing through us, and our Creator, Mother, Father, God. I use many different words for God, but Mother, Father, God, as God expresses through us, is also expressing love through us to teach us. Let's look at the value of love. Let's look at the power of love. If we didn't have fear, we wouldn't learn the value of love. And we're doing that for the whole universe. We are all here learning the incredible power of love for all of oneness. And that is our calling. But again, the more we do that, then we don't have to be in this fear. We don't have to be in this stress and this anxiety. We can have that. We can have that peace. That's what love gives us. So that's the end of
thank you.
that. My carrying on there, but
thank you.
Oh, that was great. That was great, Belinda. I want to just say, this is Janet, by the way. I woke this morning to Little Red Corvette. That's always, when somebody like that crosses, that happened with David Bowie, it happened with Michael Jackson, and now it's happening. It's becoming a habit that these musicians, when they pass, and I don't particularly, I'm not like a fan-based person. I'm 62 years old. I'm not like paying attention at that level anymore. I have my own work. So I allowed him to communicate with me. My husband is a psychotherapist, and we do a process of allowing them to speak through using my voice box, and I stay there and witness it. So anyway, he communicated a bunch of stuff, but basically it was something on the lines of, I don't know if you ever saw the series called John Adams, but at the death of Adams, he said that apparently Jefferson died like within an hour or something of Adams, and Adams said as he left his body, Jefferson lives. So the main thing that Prince wanted to say is, I'm alive. He was very happy. He's there. Like you said, death is often healing. And he just he seemed to be totally fine when Michael Jackson crossed. He was a little bit tortured for a while, but he went past that. But he seemed to be pretty fine, not troubled with the least bit. So anyway, what do your angels tell you about where we go after we die? Is it another dimension? Are they able to see us? Some of us can see them. I definitely grew up seeing ghosts, and they saw me seeing them and communicating with them. But what's your perspective on all that? The whole life, death, rebirth process. Is there reincarnation? What do your angels tell you?
Well, there's definitely reincarnation, and I also, saw ghosts when I was a little child as well, and they can be interesting for sure. Those ghosties. So yes, when and the angels do talk a bit about this in the book Lessons from the 12 Archangels. They do take some time to help us understand the journey of the soul, and that when we leave our bodies, when it's time for us to do that, it's a wonderful release for us, and the nature angel that holds our energy, because we are all made of God's energy, we're all made of the same energy. Well, our nature angel that creates a physical body for us here on planet Earth travels with the energy of our soul and creates a new body for us when we cross over to the vibration of heaven. And once we once we are there, of course, we are reunited with our loved ones. And depending on what our calling is, very often we have the opportunity to continue to serve and to help planet Earth if that is what we are called to do. And when we want to incarnate here again on Earth, this is the part that I'm like, angels, really? This is really how it works? That apparently Schoolroom Earth is a popular destination because of its importance. Because it's a teeny, teeny, teeny dust speck in the universe. However, it's an important dust speck because this is the place where souls get to experience the opposite of love and to hopefully remember the power of love and to bring love where love has been missing. So we line up and we ask to come back here, and very often old souls will travel back at very pivotal times in human history, and that's why right now there is quite a large community of healers that are waking up, and that community is growing to help all of humanity to shift into this wonderful, awesome new consciousness of loving kindness. So it's a popular destination. We all line up and say, choose me, I want to reincarnate. And we will come here as many times as it is for the greatest good for all concerned. And we play many, many different roles and wear many, many different hats in order to learn and in order to, again, learn the value of love and to really, really experience that we create our own reality. Because we go through a forgetting when we get here, right? We all forget. Little children remember a lot, but then we go through that time in our lives where we forget, and but that's what makes this school so exciting, is the whole opportunity to wake up our kind of sleeping dead selves and to say, oh, I remember how to manifest. I remember how to work with angels. I remember how to do this now. So let me remember and let me share so that this planet can be a happier place. Have I lost you guys?
Hi. No, sorry for the delay. I put my phone on mute. So, John, it's your turn. Please, I'm trying to eliminate background noise that happens when it's the mute's on. It's your turn, and we skipped you. So feel free to ask your question. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Sometimes my phone goes off, so if either of you two can pick up and pass the baton, because it takes me like that little delay to get off of mute for some reason. So take it away, John. Thank you.
So a story that will crescendo into a couple questions. So it was probably 2002, and my DJ karaoke entertainment company was really starting to take off. And I do an event at a location about an hour away from Orlando, closer to the beach, where I was doing entertainment where these British tourists, they would go to Ron John Surf Shop, which is the biggest surf shop in the world. They'd hang at the beach all day, and on the way back into Orlando, they would stop at this swamp where they did alligator sightseeing tours on these huge fan boats. And I was the entertainment. They could only go, maybe 50 at a time, so 50 people would stay and 50 people would go, and I'd be doing entertainment while they're out on the fan boat tours. And I run into this guy, real tall, good-looking guy from Ireland, and his name was Des McMahon, and he was a psychic medium. and he dealt specifically with the archangels. And so I meet him, and he sang a song, and he had the whole crowd into it, and he was a showman. And it's funny, a couple days later, I ran into him in town. I happened to be performing at a resort in which he was staying. So it was then that we were supposed to meet each other, and we ultimately became friends. I ended up hanging out with him the rest of his vacation. And he was one of the most accurate and brilliant psychic mediums you will ever meet in your entire life. And he was in his 20s, which is pretty remarkable, because some of the best psychics I've ever met were in their 50s or older. Very unusual to meet one that was so good in his 20s. Anyway, I started to hang out with him and his sister and his sister's husband. And it turns out that he was an actor and was on a Ghostbusters kind of TV show back in Ireland, where they go into haunted castles and stuff like that. And he would clear people's houses of demons and things like that. And he was a master at it. But anyway, he taught me the concept of archangels and to pray to them, and how they all had different traits. And, one archangel would be specific in one area of your life, and another one would be more helpful in another part of your life. And he taught me a meditation technique. Imagine a piece of paper, and you draw a cross with a circle around the outside of the cross. And at the top of the cross was Gabriel. The back of the cross was Michael. To the left was Uriel, and to the right was Raphael. And he said, allow them to create a circle of protection around you before you pray and meditate. Why? Because when you pray and meditate, if you don't protect yourself first, you can invite energies into your circle that are not necessarily invited. And then he turned me on to Doreen Virtue and the angel cards. Are you familiar with Doreen Virtue at all?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know how similar her teachings are to yours, but he got me to buy the angel cards. And that was really, besides him explaining it to me verbally, that was my first introduction into studying the archangels. However, she had 15 that were represented on her angel cards. And the angel cards are, similar to tarot cards, except they're archangel cards. And, you draw a card. You can do it according to her, and I do believe this, is that there's no wrong way to do it. You can come up with one card and just read the one card and then go into the book to get a further explanation of that card. Or you can pick 2 or 3, or you can shuffle the deck, and if one just seems to pop out, you should take special consideration of certain cards for certain reasons, or I don't know. She said there's really no incorrect way to do it, but do it your own way and protect yourself first, and then come up with a question also, or not come up with any question and just see what card that you pull or draw. And I really got into it, and I studied each one of the archangels. But I was curious if you are familiar with her angel cards, and if you'd studied Doreen Virtue at all.
I have not. I do not have her angel cards, and I have not studied ever with Doreen Virtue. I have an independent, calling and relationship with the archangels, and they've asked me from the get-go, please receive directly from us. And they even say, John, that they don't like to talk about their names, but because they don't want to make their names an issue. These archangels are the same archangels that your Irish friend communicated with, and of course you've communicated with. It's that they are very ancient, since the very beginning of the creation of the universe. And sometimes they are known as the different directions, the different elements. They again, their mission, in at least the way that they communicate through me is to help us human beings to evolve into greater loving kindness and respect for our humanity, because they teach us that we have forgotten that we are God's children. And so a lot of the focus of the work that I do is it's very different than as far as I understand what Doreen Virtue's focus is because I am asked to help human beings to rewrite the story of their childhood and to really find that divine child within, to connect with the wounded child and peel off those layers of hurt so that through the child within us, we open up our superconscious to a much clearer channel to really hear our intuition. So there is the idea, of course, to hold that protection around us with energy. And by all means, we can do that with the colors of love. So whether we want to do that with white, gold, divine love, or see ourselves in a whole rainbow, or we can, of course, ask the archangels to surround us, or our guardian angels. But there's nothing as wonderful to complement that as an inner clarity and to strengthen that inner integrity, so that when we hear our intuition that is connecting us with our loved ones and our guides and the ascended masters and the angels, we feel it, we know it, we trust it, we can ground it, and it makes common sense. And the way that the 12 Archangels teach us to do that in Lessons from the 12 Archangels, Divine Intervention in Daily Life, is to really connect with the inner child, to listen to, let's transform those wounds, let's set that child free so that we can hear with ears that can hear, and we can see with eyes that can see, and we can love with hearts that can love. Does that help you to understand a bit of how my work is different and how I am, I'm called to do what I'm called to do?
Well, the only reason I bring it up is because your approach is very similar to hers. You do use some different vernacular, like the whole inner child thing she doesn't really talk about much, but pretty much, I would say pretty much everything else, she echoes what you have said tonight. I don't know, just hearing what you said made me think that you had, not that you received any information from studying her, because I know where you got your information. You didn't get it from her. You got it from the archangels. But I guess it's logical to conclude that both of you received similar information, not exactly the same, but very similar. You both speak very poetically. You both speak, it's almost like y'all were sisters, to be quite honest with you. So I just had to bring it up. Where you are very similar, you are very different also. You got your own very unique niche, and I can appreciate it. And your websites look totally different also. But anyway, to further that whole story, I was on Twitter one day, and somebody mentioned her archangel cards, or that she just simply calls them angel cards. And I commented on, they're great. They help me unlock many doors that I never even knew existed, and help me to get in touch with the archangels as well. So because of that, reading, researching, and just opening my body, mind, spirit to them, I can now communicate with them also. But I wasn't even really, I'm sure I was capable of doing it before, but it was never on my radar. I didn't really think about it too much. But I was on Twitter one day, and somebody was talking about her cards, and I said, yeah, I got the archangel cards, and they can help you in your life. And then somebody jumped in and started to really, really lambaste me very hard and said, well, if you're really a spiritual light worker, which you act like you are, you shouldn't charge for your work, because that's the act of the devil. And then he found out I was a Reiki master, and he started sending me all these articles about how Reiki, spiritual healing, working with archangels and stuff is the work of the devil. And I'm like, you've really got to be kidding me. I just couldn't believe I received such an attack like that over talking about archangels. I just was really in shock. And one thing I do not believe that it is wrong to charge for your work, especially if your intentions are completely just. Because you said, you're working in the lab and Archangel Gabriel comes to you and you're like, hey, I have to pay a mortgage. I love angels, but I can't go broke doing this. And then they laid out a plan for you of how to go about doing it with, of course, all the right intentions. And you did that, and it's okay. Have you ever heard somebody say that you're not supposed to charge for this kind of work? Were we supposed to just go broke and not, at least be able to pay our bills because we're spiritual beings,
Well, John, so this is a true story, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. I always love to hear other people's experiences. I think that we can get indoctrinated, and definitely from past lives bring in the whole separation of that money is evil, when really money is not evil. Money is also created by our Creator, and it's just a symbol for the exchange of energy. So when we exchange energy with those that that we are helping, it helps them to receive from Source through us when they can give back. Now, in the work that I do, what the angels tell me is, if I'm not supposed to charge someone for whatever reason, then I do not ask for payment. And I always ask for my clients, ask for Mother, Father, God to give you the fee to work with me. And then once you've received it, once you've manifested, that's your earthly validation that now it's time to set up a session with Belinda. But when I first started to work with the angels, because, I had that same paradigm, I believed that I believed that I wasn't supposed to charge for my work. I was going to ask for a donation. And so I started off, and the Ascended Masters were just, they were teaching me lessons, and the angels were there teaching me, and this was pretty funny. So I had a client come, and she said, because I just charged donation at this time, and she said, I don't have the $15 that I was going to give you, and I had spent 2 hours with her. I don't have that because I had to buy a new wardrobe for my trip to Germany to see a guru over there. And I said, gave her a hug, thank you so much for coming, and blessed her on her way. And then I had a meltdown. And I said, okay, I'm calling on the whole, white light and sound sisterhood and brotherhood of the Ascended Masters, and I called on the 12 archangels, and that number is metaphorical, by the way. There are many, many archangels. So I just, and I had a conference, and they laughed and laughed and laughed, and they said, who was it that said charge by donation? They said, who said that? And I said, I guess that was me. And they said, we didn't tell you that. This is your fee. And so this was 25 years ago, and they started me at $65 an hour. So that was, and then they would come in and they would tell me when to raise the fee. And my fee has been the same now for 12 years. So, and I think it's going to stay where it is. But they're in charge. And they're in charge not because I give my power away to them. It's because they can see such a bigger perspective than what I can see. So my feeling is with this person who accused you of working for the devil, or is this of the devil? And I've been accused of that, a few times. That
really?
This is a person who just hasn't made peace with his own shadow. We all have.
That was good.
We all have a darkness within us that we need to learn to love unconditionally, and to transform. The angels teach us, you got to learn to love transformation, and to get into your own closets and your own secrets and your own library of beliefs that tell you that you are unworthy and that you are evil, because we've all been indoctrinated by these beliefs. We've all had it happen to us because we're all one. And as we find those beliefs and we transform them with love, then we help change this consciousness that that either we are the devil or that there is a devil. The devil is symbolic for fear. Fear is the vibration that is opposite of love. It's the same thing of what sin is. And when we bring love where love has been missing, it all changes. It all changes back to a story of peaceful oneness and respect for all concern. And that's at least the way that I have been given this lesson.
I wanted to interject something. It's Janet, and then I'll go back to you, John. You can finish. Recently, I gave everything away for free. I do counseling, I do psychotherapy, and I even forget what it was I gave for free. Some kind of something that when I do my counseling, I get $150 an hour. That's what I was told to collect, and I gave it to somebody, and they didn't value it. So I've noticed that when they have to pay for it, they value it. When you don't at least get some money towards it, they don't value it at all, or not nearly as much as they do if they have to pay for it. So it's very interesting psychological side effect of not giving something towards someone who gives you something. We need to have this balance of reciprocity, not just bills, and so but to feel this balance. It's out of balance if we don't balance it with some kind of reciprocity. It doesn't have to be tit for tat, but it's kind of like that movie Pay It Forward. When you give, the universe is a great mathematician, a great equalizer, and it will come around to you at least, the same, but often it comes around you 100-fold. So pay attention to what you're giving and allow yourself to receive, because that's a balanced person, that's a balanced universe, giving and receiving.
Definitely,
John,
definitely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. John, did you have any final things before we pass the baton to Karen?
I asked a few questions. Karen, I'm sure you got something in mind.
Oh, sure. This has really been an interesting conversation, a very deep conversation, I think. One thing I liked that you said at the start was how when you had the word archangel, and you said it was a bridge, and I sort of pictured in my mind some bridges I've seen across canyons that look like an arc. I like that idea because one of the things that I've observed and kind of wondered about, and especially when you were talking about somebody has a spirituality of separation or negativity, is it's some part of the source of that is a hierarchical thinking, is some of the negative thinking, in my opinion, because they're starting off the idea that there's a God that's way up there and the devil is way down there and we're all somewhere in the middle, but I know I'm above you, right? So it's kind of an idea that I'm more spiritual than you, I know more than you, and I'm going to impose my belief system on you. And, kind of when I, observe a person and kind of what they're saying, if they got that negativity, usually I'm going, oh, that's the person who believes in this up and down thing. And the ultimate in love really is service. It's being a servant, being willing to put yourself in service to someone else, not to lord it over them, even if you think you know more than because I'm sure they know more than us, right? I remember this cartoon where somebody had a picture of an angel from a statue that had its hand over its face and it was covering its eyes, and they said, I believe my guardian angel looks like this every day, you know. So they have to watch us make our mistakes. But, if you're looking on that with love, when you see someone making what you consider a mistake, I've had 3 children, and I've watched them, try stuff and make mistakes. I went through the early period of time when my 2 sons, who are musicians, had to practice to become good musicians. I had to hear everything up to the point where they became good musicians, the times when they were making a wrong note and, all that sort of stuff. And that's really what it's about. In our school of experience, we're learning stuff, and we have to be free to make our mistakes, free to try something and have it not work out quite the way we thought, or keep trying until we got it better. And that's really, the word sin, you mentioned the word sin, it just means missing the mark. And I had the remarkable experience once of watching an archer literally hit the middle of a target, just like Robin Hood, from 100 yards away. That was the most astonishing thing I've ever seen in real life. It wasn't like the movies. He had to shoot it way high up in the air, and it came arced over and then hit exactly in the middle of the target, which is amazing. But that day it was an archery tournament, and they were letting people try to, shoot a bow and arrow, and I wasn't getting anywhere near the target, and it was a lot closer. So, that's the idea, is that, he had to miss that mark many, 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 many times and make mistakes until he was that expert that could hit that mark from 100 yards away. So, we get hard on ourselves sometimes when we make mistakes or we try something that doesn't work out. It's a learning experience, and some kind of negative spiritual ideas is that we're bad or we did something wrong or, that sort of thing. But we're just like children. We're just learning. So I'm amazed at, what would it be like to look at all of us humans, trying everything that we try, from their perspective. But I've never felt anything of but, unconditional love and a feeling of encouragement, from the spiritual side, whether it be an ancestor, whether it be angelic kind of spirit or guardian angel spirit, or a spirit of source or the creator. So it's so important to dig into that really on a one-on-one basis instead of just adopting what somebody says about that. They don't have that feeling about us. They don't have God, source, whatever, isn't angry at us or if we make mistakes. And so I think the best part is about spirituality that I work with now is, having that view is that like after when I was a parent and I watched my kids try stuff and finally succeed at whatever it was they tried or give it up, they decided they didn't like it, it's the same feeling. I didn't get mad because they quit, being in baseball or something and they wanted to go be a musician. It was a choice, and they're very happy with their decision. And I think it's the same that we get from those beings that are watching over us. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I just wanted to express that.
Well, Karen, I definitely agree with you, and what the angels teach is that from their perspective, we don't make mistakes. We are only learning lessons. And I love how you gave the analogy of being a parent and how you choose not to judge your children as they are learning. And very true, our benevolent, all-loving Creator, who I call Mother, Father, God, we are God's divine children, and God is a completely, there is no judgment. There is absolutely no judgment, and there is 100% forgiveness. And what the angels teach is that we're the ones that judge ourselves, and we're the ones that we just can find it very difficult to forgive ourselves. Yet when we can forgive the unforgivable within ourselves and within humanity, wow, what a profound healing that creates for every atom of our being and every other human being and rock and tree that exists on this planet is that, like we talked about earlier, gratitude lifts us up and gratitude helps us to manifest because gratitude helps us to receive. Even when we find gratitude for what we don't like, the angels talk about that in their message 10 of their book. They say, be grateful for even what you don't like. Well, the other vibration that can help us so much is that vibration of forgiveness, to really forgive ourselves and to allow ourselves to learn, because that's what we're here to do. That's truly what we're here to do, and we get to have that free will and experience whatever it is, so that we are learning how to love. That's what we're here to do. We're learning how to love, and we're learning what love is as a power. So this whole idea, a wonderful, wonderful message that you've shared that I feel that we all agree with is, let's move as best as we can, right? Move beyond judgment. Let's let that go, and let's step into this new way of thinking and feeling of, let's trust that we are allowed to learn, and that every lesson we are learning, it is valuable. Every single thing that we learn, we can be grateful for, whether that's getting the notes right or learning that we're worthy to charge for our work because, we are worthy to receive from source, and to charge as a way that we can receive from source, whatever it is, to again respect our humanity, to respect it, and that we're here to learn. So let's step out of judging and comparing and doubting ourselves, which is a journey, into unconditionally loving and respecting ourselves. It really is. It's not only is it profound, but it sure makes the world a better place for all concerned.
Oh, I agree, and I'd have to say the guy that could hit that target from 100 yards is the guy who missed the target the most. It'd have to be, right?
Yeah. And what an awesome story, and I love how, it's how it seems almost impossible for that archer to hit that target, and to me that's what, that's why we need angels, because they always help us to hit that aha moment, that moment of insight where we go, oh, that's what I was believing. I can let that go now. That no longer helps me.
Oh, very true. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So, Belinda, we are running out of time in less than 2 minutes, and I wanted to put the ball back in your court, and there may be some things that you want to tell our listeners that you wanted to convey to our audience, and we haven't asked you the right questions. So how about you take a few moments and say things that you might want to convey to them, and then the final round will be John and Karen asking a final question, and then you can end with your information, how people can buy your book and how they can contact you. So what would you like our listeners to know about you, your work, any questions you might want to answer that you feel that they're asking out there in the cosmos? Back to you. Take it away.
Well, what I hear from the 12 archangels is they give a message of hope. They give a message that they say, we ask that you imagine that there is a great ocean of love, and this great ocean is all the colors of the rainbow, and that you walk out into this ocean of love energy with the child that lives within you, and you invite all of your hurting selves, all of the selves that you have rejected, that you have judged, that you have scorned and thought of as evil. And you invite your parents, your family, you invite your ancestors, you invite yourselves from past lives, and together you walk out into this ocean, this rainbow of incredible love and healing. And you say, I forgive. I forgive, and I choose love. And I am so very grateful for my humanity. I am so very grateful that I am not alone, that I am helped, I am protected, I am guided, I am nurtured, and that it is my birthright to receive. And once you experience this healing and this transformation, to breathe in this love, and then to focus on your dream. What does a happy childhood look like for you? What would you like to be different? Lift up what you would like to see changed. Lift it up. Give it back to God and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for changing me and for changing my life and creating a new and better life through me, for me now. Thank you, thank you, thank you that I now step into a happier dream, a happier life, and that I take humanity with me. We are the 12 archangels of the central sun, the heart of God. We walk with you, we work with you, we embrace you, whether you believe in us or not. Does not matter. Our message to you is we are all one together, learning the value of love. So, Janet, that was their message for your audience.
Lovely. That was wonderful. I feel like I've just had 2 hours of meditation. I feel very calm with that. It was great. Yes. Okay, so John, it's your turn, and then just pass the talking stick to Karen, and then back to Belinda for the final words and the end of the show.
Okay, Belinda, I was curious if you worked, well, let me take a step backward. You said there's many, many archangels beyond the 12, and the 12 that I guess selected you are very close to you, and the ones that I guess you could most easily communicate with or could most easily communicate with you. That being said, I'm curious if you work with Metatron, who is also known as Enoch, Sandalphon, who is also known as Elijah, or if you work with Saint Germain and the Violet Flame, and if you work with any of them, how do you work with them?
So the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So,
okay, all right.
So John, part of the lesson that the angels would like to share is that our human minds, because of that left hemisphere, we like to separate. We like to think of 6 angels or 12 angels or 15 rays or 144,000 ascended masters. But truly, numbers are metaphor. They exist here on the earth. But so when we say that there are many, many multitudes of archangels, it's because God's energy is all expansive. So just like we think of our solar system as, sometimes we human beings, we think, well, this is it, right? We're right here. But if we look at what NASA, I saw a post today of a purple nebula for the benefit of Prince, and we are surrounded, by incredible galaxies, and just the infinite of the universe is, it's beyond what our, left hemisphere can comprehend. So they just ask that that you hear that it's all about vibration. So whom Belinda communicates with are those beings and teachers that resonate with pure divine love and pure divine intention to bring love where love has been missing. So we can travel about with many, many different names, but it all comes back to oneness. It all comes back to oneness. So, for example, Archangel Metatron has another name. That name is Jupiter. Archangel Gabriel has the name of Mercury. So these angels are right in our own solar system, guiding us and helping us through our astrology. So that's just another anchor back to this cycle, this support that we have to evolve. And I remember that I was on a radio show, an interview with Whitney Schreiber, and he said, Belinda, he said, this was after the interview, he said, do you realize that what you've got in your book is it's very, very ancient mysticism. It's a fusion of all of these different Egyptian Book of the Dead, and he was mentioning these things to me, and I said, no, I really am not familiar with those things. And he said, well, I knew that. I could tell that. He said, but what the angels have given you is a synthesis of the truth that has always been. But it's presented in a very digestible and easy to understand form. So, I just really want to say to all of us that are having this conversation, John, Karen, and Janet, and Belinda, and of course your listeners, truth is the truth when it comes at that highest vibration. So names may change, situations may change, but what is important is that the truth, that love truly is the greatest healing power. And I just want to express that I'm so grateful to the three of you for being messengers and for doing the work that you're here to do, because it takes a lot of courage.
Oh, well,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if it's
Karen.
Courage. It's just I don't know if it's courage. I think it's just courage is probably that where you go from fearful thoughts, you process them. It's that scale between love and fear, right? And I think in terms more of encouragement, or the indwelling courage of the mind. That's where the battle is where we make that choice of fear or love, and that's probably part of the game plan here, to learn all the aspects of that scale. And because it just seemed to me that it was easier to become more open about who I am and my thoughts and what's happening to me, and than it was to stay in the box that I did enclose about myself and thought was fear. It was a lot harder to maintain that than it is to be myself and love who I am and love other people in my own, newer kind of way of looking at things. In other words, it's going downhill, isn't it? It's going downhill. It's rolling downhill like a rock when you really let yourself happen, I think. But anyway, thank you.
Okay,
I'm done.
Belinda, final words for you. How do people reach you and get your book?
So my book, Lessons from the 12 Archangels, Divine Intervention in Daily Life, is available through Amazon, of course, and bookstores. It's available through my publisher, which is Inner Traditions. It's also available on my website. If any listener would like a signed copy with a channeled message from the 12 Archangels, you can purchase that on belindawomack.com. And I also have all of my information right on my website. Again, it's belindawomack.com. I offer an audio class on the working with the healing power of the 12 Archangels. And then I have the 12 Archangels University, and I give private sessions. I also am a featured columnist. I write an article every month for Om Times magazine. And so I love to teach and to help and to serve. And, and again, John has mentioned this, that by visiting my website, you can just sign up and receive also the Archangels Vibrational Super Shift, and that's a guided imagery meditation. So I think I've covered everything. So thank you so much for allowing me to be a guest on your show this evening.
It's been such a delight. So everybody, I invite you to join our little hands across the universe and say one big giant aloha. And thank you, John Karen. John, is that you? Aloha.
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 And I was going to play a commercial break at the midpoint, but I was so captivated I forgot all about it. But I invite our listeners to stay to listen to these wonderful commercials that were created by all these different people that are on a light path. And you can hear about conferences and different books and counseling and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you very much for joining, and I'm going to end with our commercial break. Much love and blessings, and aloha.
Aloha. I'm Janet Lesson. My husband, Dr. Sasha, and I are certified hypnotherapists and counselors, and we see clients in person or virtually online.
I'm Sasha Lesson, and I know that you'd like to accept and coordinate all your aspects, and that is what Janet and I can teach you.
Dr. Lesson and I specialize in contactees, enlightenment seekers, people with a mission to assist humanity, and use holotropics, past life therapy, spirit releasement, tantra, and centering.
Now, Janet is both a great counselor and also she's an experiencer herself. She's taken the hero's journey to realities beyond the everyday. She experiences her multidimensional selves, and you can do the same. She can help you.
We work with individuals, pairs, groups, and presented conferences. We do sessions in person, on the phone, and by Skype.
Our aim is to empower you so you can apply what we teach you so you go further in your exploration on your own.
To schedule your session, write to us at schoolofcounseling@gmail.com or call 808-244-4103. Once again, to schedule your session, write to us at schoolofcounseling@gmail.com or call 808-244-4103. Aloha, love, and blessings.
Namaste.
Join the KCOR Digital Radio Network Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific as we connect the dots and unravel the cosmic mysteries with Divine Paradigm. Divine Paradigm, hosted by Dr. Sasha Lesson and Janet Kira Lesson. Interview those in the know, whether it be researchers, whistleblowers, contactees, or military mind control programs.
Testing, can you hear me?
Have you ever wanted to learn about ancient texts, suppressed history, spiritual ascendance, as well as past, future, and simultaneous life existences?
This is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
Then you need to tune into Divine Paradigm.
Divine Paradigm.
Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
I'm doing it. I can do it. I'm doing it.
Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Coming March 1st, 2016.
Every region of the world and most countries can go back in their history and trace their origins, traditions, and religions to a creator god or an angel from the sky, the stars, heaven, or even underground from the underworld. This is the common story of extraterrestrials seeding our planet. My name is Reverend John M. Polk. I am an international metaphysical minister, a Reiki master teacher, and a medium. My book is Yahweh, the Biblical God is an Alien. The premise of my book is that there is a real God and that Yahweh is a creator God alien who is indicating he is ready to reveal his alien origins to humanity at this time. You can find my book at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com. John Polk Media.
Medicine is one of the most difficult, fast-paced, yet rewarding paths you can take. You can set out on your own and navigate the student loans, the bureaucracies, and systems that define a typical medical career. Or you can apply for the U.S. Army's Health Professions Scholarship Program and launch yourself into a medical career like no other. Your tuition will be completely covered, and when you graduate med school, you'll learn from and work with some of the most elite minds in medicine. That's the Army difference. Learn more and apply today at goarmy.com/HPSB.